6 групп завел, 6 групп вывел. Еще осталось 2. Побежали все! Быстро!
When fresh Ukrainian troops are ordered to the zero line, a soldier called Moses leads them through the plagues of war, blood-soaked minefields, hailstorms of artillery, attack drones swarming like locusts.
Да быстрее, блядь! 5-4, 5-4, я Моисей, плюс карандашами на первой точке.
Moses is a Ukrainian call sign given to daring individuals tasked with bringing out the wounded and the dead and escorting in their replacements.
Молодчага дал рывка, блядь. Вы все молодцы, парни.
The biblical Moses parted water in ancient Egypt.
Моисей.
In today's Ukraine,
Захожу. Давай.
a Moses delivers it. One young soldier, Victor, chronicled his missions as a Moses in videos raw and unfiltered.
Им блиндаж разъебало.
In nearly 3 years covering this war, I'd never seen video this intimate and revealing, nor become so intrigued by one soldier's story. The Moses videos capture harsh realities those commanding this war likely do not want the world to see. They're a window into the sacrifices of a generation of young Ukrainians fighting for freedom.
Ну что, дорогие мои, не знаю, может быть, это последнее видео. Мы, походу, в окружении.
I think we are the greatest generation of Ukraine.
Sometimes when you're on the ground, you find the story. And sometimes the story finds you. Vadim Adamov, a 20-year-old Ukrainian soldier, had told me about a friend of his, Victor, call sign Moses.
Victor, he's an example of like radical citizen sacrifice for his people.
Vadim and Victor had served together in a drone reconnaissance unit. Their base, an abandoned library where the avid readers quickly bonded. Then it was Vadim with the camera. A filmmaker before volunteering for the military, Vadim found in Victor a muse.
Вот ты карасики на крючочке. Да, Жан-Клод Ван Дам.
Victor, a comical and also mesmerizing presence. He smoked cigarettes in a style so dramatic, Vadim filmed an essay. The theme, in war, every cigarette could be the last.
А будет это бэн, 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 бэн. Не знаешь эту песню?
But as happens often in war, the same forces that create fast friendships force them apart. Vadim, reassigned to Kyiv, only knew that Victor went forward to the zero line by choice and was filming.
He's like, oh, you know, the situation looks for me like I'm not going to survive much longer. So I want to record like a lot of videos with me before I die.
Давай, пацанюры, давай!
Months later, Vadim would receive those videos, more than 5 hours of them.
I think his story can really show if you have some bravery deep in your soul, it will be seen through all your life.
We sat for hours, piecing together this remarkable soldier's journey. It begins in eastern Ukraine, in Toretsk, one of the most brutally assaulted stretches of the entire front line. Victor's infantry platoon had one mission: halt Russia's advances. That's where he accepted the mantle of Moses.
Всем групп наперед. Всем завел, всем бою. Под обстрелами, под всей хуйней.
He seems pretty fearless.
He was doing the most dangerous job you can possibly do. Going from a position to a position, bringing water, bringing supplies.
Плюс, ушли назад, ушли назад!
Leading people who don't know the territory, bringing them to the positions.
5-4, 5-4.
Yeah, it's a crazy job.
Ну это чудо, что все живые, блядь, у 2 контузия.
That such a role exists speaks to war's foreboding future. Both sides deploying thousands of drones to monitor their enemies every inch of the front line. Vehicles can't go to the trenches. They'd be seen and slaughtered.
Моисей плюс-плюс.
That's why you need a human guide to dodge electronic eyes.
Последние карандашики ставишь.
Pencils?
Pencils, yeah, pencils is like slang way to call soldiers.
Okay.
So he's like, oh, that's the last pencils of today, like the last group of people.
Такая вот дискотека, блядь, на работе.
He always says that. He says disco. He loves,
Disco, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
he loves to
he
say
always
disco. Why does he say that?
It's like a fun way to describe like when hits the fan.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of shelling,
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like disco.
they sound like rhythm.
Сейчас Форест Гамп, блядь, 2 часть, нахуй.
When he got to the position, he's making joke that, oh, we shot a f***ing Forrest Gump movie.
Run, Forrest, run.
Yes, because he was shooting it with his phone. He's the most funniest guy I ever met.
Падай, падай, залазь, залазь, залазь! Чекайте, чекайте ще 2! Все, брат, удачи!
He's clearly become a very experienced soldier.
Here you can see him raising to a leader,
Формуйтесь в колону, дистанція 3-5 метрів.
helping his team mentally.
Давайте, парни, осталось, блядь, метров 300. Красавчики, молодцы, мужчины, вы очень большие молодцы.
I think it was the period of his transformation.
Робота Вікімеда зроблена.
Then, a major change of mission.
Був прорив кордону.
Moses' unit suddenly ordered to join Ukraine's daring gambit. The incursion into Kursk. Ukraine's shock invasion of the Russian motherland.
Сейчас мы за границей.
Victor went from Moses to machine gunner.
Привет, подспичники. Гляньте, какой у меня бунгало. Просто апартаменты. Для себя делаю такое пулеметное милое гнездышко.
He was making jokes about his machine gun that he called like Mrs. Susie.
Миссис Сьюзи. Очень даже довольны, да, миссис Сьюзи?
Commander sent Victor's small squad, just a few soldiers, into a remote no man's land.
Ну, как минимум, и чеченам дали покусаться.
But then the fighting suddenly intensified.
Дискотека!
The Russians were pushing back and had deployed their most ruthless fighters, the Chechens, Muslim troops fiercely loyal to Vladimir Putin. The Chechens had surrounded them.
Вижу двух! Да, вообще, походу мы в окружении, ебать, походу, против самых, блядь, настоящих чеченов. Потому что кричат Аллах Акбар, обещают отрезать голову.
The Chechens are close enough that they're shouting taunts at the Ukrainians.
Yes. And Chechens was yelling, surrender.
Блядь, разбираю так потихоньку, сука.
I think people like him are really calm when facing death.
Вообще ситуевина хуёвая, что-то, блядь, со вчерашнего вечера.
4, повторяю, процесс ОД. 674, просит воды. Плюс, зустрівся, пацани просять води, замчить. Я вас тоже нема. Зиміть на кругову, блядь.
Воды не пили 2 дня. Да, сушат нахуй. все хуйня. Патрона почти нихуя не осталось, отбили, сука.
Cut off. No reinforcements could reach them. With the Chechens closing in, a small gesture of defiance.
Что это, бля? Хуяли там.
But finally, resignation.
Что, сука, последний бой? Витки медяника, нахуй. Ложись, нахуй! Ну, как минимум, мы чеченам дали по присосу.
From the beginning to the very end, there would be no surrender. Shortly after he recorded his final video, the Chechens killed Victor in a grenade attack. For the first time, Victor's childhood friends heard about and saw Victor the warrior. His mother, Olena Gavrilova, sharing her son's videos.
Привезли вчора його телефон, і я дивилася останні хвилини його життя. Загинув герой.
More than 2 years after leaving to fight, Victor finally returned home.
Everyone who was there got to know him from a completely different perspective. His friends told us, it turns out that he was living more fulfilled and happy life with you in the trenches than with us in civilian life.
Weeks after the funeral, Vadim took me to a drone unit to meet the person from the trenches who knew Victor, the soldier, best, Ja.
Тизер к фильму.
Early in the war, Vadim's camera recorded the comic chemistry of the three of them serving in the same unit. It was the year before he became Moses. When Victor headed to the front, they stayed in close contact, mostly by text. In a message from the battlefield he posted during one of his darkest hours, Victor mentions Ja. Vadim translated the message.
Suddenly you are feeling some sickness, you want just to disappear.
But then Victor's bolstered by a memory, the fierceness of Ja.
She always has a pack of cigarettes, energy drink, and a fierce want to kill Russians because they killed her brother.
The Russians killed your brother?
Так.
How old was your brother?
На 5 років старший.
Like so many family members here, her brother's fight became hers. She joined his unit, quitting her job as a web developer, and even took his call sign.
В принципі, фізично не змогла б залишатися в цивільному житті.
Did your brother's death prepare you in some way for losing a close friend like Victor?
Вони як такі флешбеки викликають трохи.
We're focusing on one soldier who was killed, Victor. One soldier out of many, many thousands. Did we choose the right person for this?
Звісно, правильний вибір.
Чому?
Тому що це ті люди, яких все менше і менше і менше, які прийшли на початку, які прийшли добровільно, які максимально вмотивовані. Вітя чітко знав, за що він воює, на відміну від багатьох бусифікованого контингенту.
As more and more of their generation head to the front lines, Ja hopes Victor inspires the replacement troops, now shepherded to the trenches, by some other Moses. A visit to the central square in Ukraine's capital shines a light on the harsh reality that those commanding this war would rather remain in the shadows. Ukraine is losing a generation of young people.
The memorial wall of fallen defenders here in Kyiv stretches almost 2 city blocks, but they're out of room for more photos. So you see families come here and they create ad hoc memorials to their loved ones who've fallen.
A haunting mosaic of loss. That so many photos are unfaded, new, speaks to the devastating trajectory of this war. Tens of thousands of soldiers dead, tens of thousands of loved ones left behind to mourn and remember.
We've come to Poltava to visit Viktor's mother and younger sister, and right now we're driving past the military institute that the Russians hit with a missile, killing at least 50 civilians. We don't know how many service members died. This happened within 2 weeks of Viktor's death. Jason.
I'd come to talk about Viktor and the Moses videos. As it turned out, Olena had watched every minute of the videos, over and over.
Реально він ризикував собственною життю, кожен раз перебігає той маршрут, який я вже можу сама з закритими очами перебігти.
Мамуля, привіт. Этот, блядь, синуля твой на роботі.
Не ділився зі мною тяготами воєнної житті. Він казав, що все в нього легко, все хорошо. Я тільки, оце як вже його не стало, я побачила, в яких ужасах і в яких умовах він знаходився.
Is it hard to watch the videos, or do you like watching the videos that he recorded?
Я дуже люблю їх дивитися.
Фу, блядь, 3 сутки вже в дорогі.
А я просто з ними просипаюся і засипаю. Мене багато чого в ньому здивувало. Оказалося, я його і не дуже гарно знала.
Це вам.
З якою заботою він на передову відносить воду, поїсти їм. Це мене дуже вразило.
The reason I'm here talking to you right now is because I watched some of these videos. Actually, I've watched many of them. And I can tell he's a very special person.
Да, це є. І я дуже пишаюсь, що він в мене такий.
Дискотека така собі.
З його окруження, з тими, з ким він дружив, ніхто не пішов воювати.
А у меня вообще высшее образование, пацаны, и я тут с вами, прикиньте, как...
She had begged him not to volunteer.
А потім вже сказав: ні, мама, я буду воювати. Подобається це тобі чи не подобається. Ти можеш мені допомагати, але або ми можемо не спілкуватися з тобою далі.
She never saw him in person again, but mother and son spoke and messaged often.
В колхозе началась утречка, блядь.
Before his dangerous mission into Kursk, Ukraine's stunning invasion of the Russian homeland, a final message.
Бо ще він так написав, що він дуже нас любить, щоб ми себе берегли.
Aside from his country, the great loves of Viktor's life were his mother, his younger sister, and Poltava's soccer team. In wartime Ukraine, sports are a welcome distraction, but also a jarring contrast between playing games on one field while soldiers die on another. So the teams honor local heroes. On this day, Viktor's sister, Kira, steps up for the ceremonial opening kickoff.
How do you feel that they decided to honor your brother today?
I'm really happy about that. He really liked this football team, and I think he'll be happy.
I've noticed that at this game, most of the fans are either really young or also really old. Fighting age men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, they're not here. Some of the brightest of this generation is being killed in this war. And your son is emblematic of that. What do you feel about this war right now?
Що я думаю про цю війну? Я вам відповім словами мого сина. Мама, нас прийшли знищувати, і ми повинні захищатись. Ви ж дивилися на відео, він не пив 2 дня. Та ж як я до нього їжджу туди, я завжди купляю бутилку води, беру йому, там оставляю.
Victor assumed the war name Moses, a title really, given to those who guide new troops through the plagues of the battlefield.
2,5 роки я тебе не бачила, а тепер бачиться почти щодня.
But unlike the Israelites who fled Egypt, there is no distant promised land for the Ukrainians, no prophet with the power to part the seas. Only their homeland to defend, and the bravery of men like Moses, desperately fighting, too often dying, to hold back the tides of war.